Okay. Episode 4 of Human Noise. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this time we've switched it up. Today our guest is Andrew
Jurians, who is our MMA trainer and who taught me MMA way back when we started in end of 2009, started 2010. And yeah, man, he's been he's one of the few people, you ask him, he won't ever say that he's like a master, or he's like, you won't make him call you sir or coach or anything, but he was one of the very earliest people to train anyone in MMA in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, and today, he comes in and he brings some really good perspectives on not only MMA, but utilizing it in life.
Yeah, the life philosophies of MMA, about learning when it's appropriate to be violent and when it's not appropriate to be violent, and how when you want to look like a tough guy and you're calling your uncle, you're really just looking like a giant pussy. And when you need all your friends to you need to gang fight shit, that's some straight bullshit.
Yeah, and we discussed different philosophies on fighting, or what fighting means to different people and from different cultures. And so we look at that. We look at that from the perspective of war as from a perspective of someone who does fighting, and from perspective of someone who doesn't, and the whole challenge we're trying to get people to understand, especially stuff with MMA where people have it's violent, or holy shit, like that.
But MMA will teach you to be less violent, and it'll teach you to have more respect for your body and for other people, and for realistic dangers and your own personal limitations.
Yeah. And the whole thing is at the same time, if you're effectively training, there's obviously a mindset and something and things you have to gain to continue its practice.
Yeah.
Because it's not something you do once and then stop. You don't fight, have one fight sometime and then I fight.
Yeah.
And then you fight it later, 1 year. It's the constant training to fight and then fighting at the same time at a regular pace. So being able to put your body through that shit and
your mind through that shit.
And being with yourself,
Yeah,
during
sure. And the way that improves you. So, enjoy the episode. A couple of, I don't know what you call it, bookkeeping, notices, announcements, whatever the fuck you should. Okay. We are on iTunes. So if you have the podcast app on your iPhone and you search Human Noise, it should come up and you can subscribe to us on iTunes, and then you can get an update every time there's a new episode. We are also... Our RSS feed is in the video link, and if you have an Android podcast app, you can subscribe to our podcast by adding the RSS feed. Yeah. You can basically what you can do is you should be able to click on the link and then open it with your player. Right. I forgot that Android has that function, right? Where you press the thing and it says open this using what? You open it with your podcast player, it should add the stream.
Yeah.
So you can listen to us on the go, which we highly recommend. We release the videos, but sitting there and watching our stupid fucking faces, it gets kind of boring. So we highly recommend while you're driving, while you're chilling, while you're doing chores around the house. That's the way that we listen to podcasts, and we recommend that to you as well as a way to listen to podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's what you sort of listen passively and take in passively while you're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Today was a great example. I had to do fucking washing. And shit.
And no one likes to do
no one likes to do those stuff.
Nobody likes to think consciously.
Exactly.
About laundry.
So you can listen to music. I listen to music quite often, but to mix it up, I also like listening to other different podcasts. And you should check other people's podcasts out too.
Yes.
Well, hopefully from this page and stuff, we'll promote stuff we listen to, stuff that inspires us, and hopefully you can get hooked to the medium in itself as well.
Yeah, it's a really great medium, man. It's a really great medium full of really unique individual voices.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
So
alright, cool. So now we'll change track, and then Andrew will be here to the magic of video. Woo.
Sweet.
Alright. Dude. What is MMA, dude? What is MMA? Oh. So I don't have to explain it to people, man. I meet too many pussies in my life, man, and they're always like, "Oh, why would you want to fight? Why would you want to play a sport where you have to hit people?"
It's okay. If you take two concepts.
Come on, you gotta meet a lot of pussies in your life and shall tell you shit like this as well, right?
Shit, I do MMA and some of them don't realize what it is, and then there are guys who realize, and either way, I don't give a flying fuck. You know? Anyway, so, okay, the MMA is an abbreviation for mixed martial arts, okay? And the bottom line of where this came from is from the ancient fighting style of pancration, that's from Greece. Because pancration was the actually the ancient version of MMA, where you can actually go into combat and you can single combat, fight a dude, and where he doesn't die. Right? You don't have to kill him. Because back then everything was like, oh, I don't like your stab in the heart. So this was a way of proving manhood and strength. And they used to have the concept of, if you watch an MMA fight or you see a free form fight or you watch a jiu-jitsu fight or submission with the tapping, instead of tapping that, those days they used to raise their thumb and say, that's it, I quit, you know. But the kicker here was they used to fight naked.
Yeah.
They used to fight naked. That was the sign of absolute manhood, and that's the way they used to fight.
And also, like, they did all the sports naked, right? The Olympics was like full
on. I mean, the thing is that, okay, that's just the history of MMA. What is MMA? Mixed martial arts, as the abbreviation said, is the combination of so many martial arts, and you do it on one platform to the best way you can do it. Right? There's this way of doing it, there's that way of doing it. But at the end of the day, if you really look at it, it's the guy who's the most effective at transitioning the combination of martial arts is the guy who's going to win.
Yeah.
You can be really good at being a boxer, really being a wrestler, really being a submission guy. But if you are not able to transition from one to the other and again back to the next thing as effective as you can, you're not going to win. You're just going to be, okay, if you stand and fight with a guy, you're going to be able to kickbox, whatever. But if that dude shoots for a takedown and takes you down, right, and you manage to get back up and then he strikes back at you and then he doubles back down and takes you down. If you're not able to deal with that transition from one thing to the other and counter it, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, and it's like, winning in MMA, man, it's like you gotta learn to do this shit. You gotta learn to transition. You gotta learn to mix up your martial arts. But you gotta learn to win fights. That's the main thing, right? You gotta have to learn katas. You don't have to learn like wushu displays. You gotta learn to be able to beat somebody else.
Okay, I need to set the record. So a lot of people are dissing traditional martial art, which I don't like, because the fact that traditional martial arts actually hold true to the values of what they try to teach, of discipline, of honor, of doing form perfectly. But their effectiveness in the modern stage of fighting is they're not that effective at all.
Yeah.
But we should never disrespect something that upholds principles. Because,
right.
You know what I mean?
You're saying it's like a philosophical thing, like it's about self-improvement.
That's where I keep traditional martial arts to be. But not that they're not effective as they are, but in a freestyle fight, it's not effective. You might be able to stand and knock the dude out, but if that dude takes you down, or if you fight a wrestler and you're able to take you down and you're able to get back up and beat him up standing, like kickboxing, it's not going to be really effective when you're just a singular style.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to get up, man.
And the thing is, the whole concept of a fight also, it makes it a lot more intense. Like, I did sports karate.
Yeah.
And in sports karate, it's all about the first point. You know, and so I used to get so tense about like the dude going to hit me, because once he hit me, it was all over. So I had this whole paranoia about it, like, you know, he's going to hit me. And so, especially like if you try and translate that into a normal fight, you're always paranoid of like, you know, that paranoia.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I did Muay Thai after that. Yeah. And then someone actually hit me and I was like, oh shit. Not so bad, like
it's not as bad as you think.
It's not as bad as you think.
I don't think you got hit really hard.
No. I didn't get hit really hard.
No, it's not that it isn't bad.
The mental,
you're really scared. Like before you've ever been punched in the fucking face, you're like terrified of getting punched in the face.
I mean, let's face facts here. We are all afraid to get punched in our face. I mean, the guys who say they like getting punched in the face are dudes who've been punched so many times in their face.
They got beaten up by their parents when they were kids. Yeah. They're like victims of abuse.
Something like that. But the mindset of getting rid of that fear of getting hit or whatever, like you said about winning, it's not about focusing on the outcome. I know I'm kind of going Mr. Miyagi on this, but actually it's actually true. It's not focusing on the outcome of the fight. It's being in the moment of each situation in the fight and winning each of the situations.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Oh shit. No, that's really
that is very true, man.
That's very true. That's so true.
Because you're trying to hold on to an outcome that actually you don't have any control over.
Yeah.
You can lose, or you can win, or you can draw, or you can go to hospital, or you can go to morgue.
Yeah.
Those things are out of your control. But what you can and what you do have control of is each of the situations that you fight in.
Yeah.
And once you get rid of that, the stigma or whatever this thing that sticks in your head about winning or losing, you get rid of it and you don't give a flying fuck about it. You start to perform better because the pressure of winning or losing goes. And then you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to actually start performing better. But that doesn't mean you got to be lazy and like whatever. But you're going to perform your ass off and do everything you can do in each of the situation as best as you can.
What you're saying is like, when you're in like kicking distance, you're doing the best fighting you can at kicking distance. When you're in the clinch, you're being in the clinch as best as you can.
Okay. That is one way of looking at what I mean, but the situation is like, it's problem solving.
Right.
You find a dude, okay, fine. If I were to fight a taekwondo guy, I know I'm going to get kicked in the face for sure. I'm not going to run away with the idea, I'm going to beat taekwondo guy. I know I'm going to get kicked in the face. I want to avoid that at all costs. I know the simple physics is that if I fight a guy who has long range, right, I have to get in close, then he can't use his long range. But if I stay out on the distance, I'm going to get hurt. So what do? I use my common sense and I go in and I move and I stay in closer. I either clinch with him, or I dirty box with him, or I clinch fight him, Muay Thai style. And I avoid him getting away because if I give him any space, he's going to kick me in the face. Or I try to take him down.
Yeah.
That's me. What I would do as problem solving in the situation and doing it correctly to beat the guy. Remember, it's not about to say, okay, I'm the best kicker, I'm the best kickboxer. I want to beat you.
Right.
I want to beat you at that situation. Not to be, okay, who's got the biggest dick and let's swing it around and see who wins.
Yeah.
It's all about problem solving each of those problems as it occurs. It's not about who's the best, who's the whatever. And my general philosophy on fighting is not, unless you fight for something that is really legitimate, it's not worth it. Just to prove your bravado that you can fight a dude or that dude, you can beat him up or whatever. What's the point if you're going to end up in ICU and you got tubes running through your nose and into your mouth and you're paralyzed for life or you got brain damage? What's the point?
Yeah.
It's better off to use your brain and walk away from a scenario than actually use your fist. As much as you might want to, there's no logical thing that you're gaining from it other than being stuck in hospital for a really long time.
Yeah.
And
and the thing is, in a fist fight, like, everybody loses.
Everybody.
Like, even if you win, you're gonna lose because like there's gonna be repercussions. Like,
especially here. The only place that I wish I was living in and where people fought straight up, brutally fight each other. This is Hawaii. Go to Hawaii. It's straight up legitimate fight. If I have a beef with you, everyone stands around you.
Yeah.
And you beat the shit out. If anyone else tries to get involved, that dude gets beat up.
Nah, in Australia, it's a bit like that as well. It's a bit like that. They have that, like, convict culture. Do you know what I mean? They have that, like, inheritance of, like, they're a fucking nation of convicts that, like, they that's why they play that crazy football sport. It's not really a sport. It's mostly people hitting each other and kicking a ball at the same time. Right?
And
like, when you were in school there, if somebody challenged you to fight, you had to fight them. And it's not like you fight them and like they're friends as well. You just have to fight them one-on-one and their friends will never get involved.
And
but here, they'll call their uncle, they'll call their
the worst part of it here is that the two dudes who are beefing sit on the sideline and their buddies beat each other over.
Oh shit, that's so true.
You know what I mean? And the best part of the joke is if one side wins, the other guy is like, my crew beat that dude up and I'm such a big shit and everything. And what did you do? You're like, your face is like a freaking Mona Lisa picture and your poor buddy is like with a broken leg. Okay, fine. You get guys who are loyal to friends and everything, but I don't see it solving the problem between two guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for real, man. For real.
Hey, everyone twists up with each other. You can either be a man about it and sort it out, and you know, just throw down, and y'all do throw down. Don't make it involved, because the thing is, one thing will lead to another, and one says, I know this guy, and I know that guy, and I am connected with the president, and I'm
These uncles must be so busy, man.
Yeah, and I'm connected with this guy, I'm going to get you killed, I'm going to get you stabbed, and at the end of the day, it's like the problem doesn't get solved. The problem is always going to be there, and you're like constant fear, and like you don't want to do it. It's worse even here when you fight, even in a legitimate tournament. When you beat the other dude up, his team follows you home and beats you up. That's what happened. I'm not going to name names, but y'all know who y'all are. Right? Where's the point of being a sportsman? Where's the sense of having those two nuts in between the legs? As calling yourself a man, calling yourself...
That's so true, man. That's so true. It's like, are you a man or is your uncle a man? You know, like, it's like...
Finish the situation. But look, if you gotta throw down and beat the shit out of each other, do it. But then
but just between you, that's
end it there.
Yeah, end it.
Yeah. And then it's over. You don't have to be friends after that. You don't have to go to each other's freaking wedding or whatever. Just end it there. It's over. But the fact that you gotta bring everyone else in, and then people get hurt, and over yours petty little fight, it's really stupid.
Yeah.
It's not stupid, it's just big egos. But anyway.
You know what it is? It's big egos and like small dicks. That's what it is. You know what I mean? It's like big egos but like deep down you're a pussy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like
you don't want to throw down and get hurt.
Yeah, but you are my uncles, I'm my uncles, my friend is here, and then he owns this dude, and this dude knows the cop, and this dude's like, it's like, what the fuck is that shit, man? What does that prove? Except for that you know a lot of people, man. You know, it just means you're a good social networker.
I mean, you try that in I don't know, in mafia, if you're in the States, you try that with the mafia guy. The thing is that you say you're connected with this guy, with that guy. That guy is gonna find you and shoot you in the head, and you don't give a shit.
Yeah, no one gives a shit, man.
No one gives a shit. But the thing is, here it's like, oh my god, I gotta be careful with that guy.
No, but
someone's gonna hurt.
The thing with I think it's more of a mafia culture. In the sense, like, it's mostly...
Yeah, it's all who you know.
So, yeah, exactly.
It's all about who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. And so, that's... Okay, coming to the point of us going about this, that we can have the sport of MMA, or sport of legitimate prize fighting. Prize fighting means where you fight for money, right? Or you fight as to work in art, because
in a competitive
right? Is that you beat a dude up, and then you got to worry about his crew beating you up. There's no honor in that. Okay, fine, forget honor. There's no being a man in this situation. Yeah. So anyway, that's just somewhat of a breakdown of fighting here, and we're not talking about MMA. Okay, MMA.
Like gang fighting. That was some other shit.
Okay, MMA, you get several styles, but when you go to break it down, it's not, I'm not talking art by art, then we can get into another confrontation there. No, jiu-jitsu is better than judo and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's basically got to be a really good striker. Striker means you got to be able to kickbox, you got to be able to clinch fight with knees and elbows, and then you got to be able to take guys down. It doesn't matter how you take them, judo throw, wrestling throw, whatever. And then you got to be able to do submission. Submissions basically means you do chokes or you do joint locks. Joint locks means that you hyperextend like the arm from the elbow, or you hyperextend the knee, right? Where you hold the leg or the shoulder, and that's where you submit. And then chokes are where you basically wrap your hand around the guy's neck
or legs.
You're using your hands or your legs, and in two ways, where you cut off the air supply to the brain and cut the blood flow. Those are ways of winning. But for the things that I have seen up to now, I mean, I've been doing this for about 8 years now. I'm still learning, man. I just want to put on the record that I'm no master, I'm no sensei. Like most of you niggas out there think I'm like the top shit, but none of you want to challenge me for it. Anyway. So I'm not a guy who talks smack. I rather talk with my fist and like finish it off then and there on the mat. But if you was to take Sambo, the Russian martial art of Sambo, that is legitimate hand-to-hand fighting. I mean, the guys, the way they're able to do throws, judo throws, and their submissions are so brutal. Because Sambo was born out of necessity of fighting in the streets back in the day, where doing like if you were seeing a jiu-jitsu fight where they hold like a weird wrist lock or whatever, or an ankle lock in some weird way and go for a arm triangle where they cut the blood flow to the head. Sorry. Right? So from the fact that because there are fight guys who wear a lot of clothing, it's really cold off Russia, right? Really thick clothing. So they focus a hell of a lot on arm bars, hyperextending the arm, and going for leg locks. And they're really good at it. And
their leg locks is like a big feature, right?
Their leg locks are because it's really effective because no matter how strong a leg you have, when your joints are pushed in every direction, you're going to tap. Or you're going to have it snap. So the way they use throws, the throws that they use it's not like where you see a wrestling where the guys grab both legs and lift and slam. This is where they're getting close and the guy, they either use that guy going against him and throw him over, or they trip the dude, or it's so complex the amount of takedowns they're able to do. I mean, I downloaded this video of just pure takedown. Each takedown was on the video was I think about 5 seconds, and there was like 45 minutes of takedowns, and one after the other. And it's a lot of serious technique that goes into it, and the way that they can do this, the wrestling aspect of ground fighting to submissions, is one of the best bases. That means the basic that you could learn how to fight anywhere of any type of sport that you can learn. And then then you get combat sambo. Combat sambo is basically everything that you do striking. That means kickboxing, kneeing, headbutt. That's the best part. I mean, these guys headbutt. they stomp. They hit. They knee the head on the ground. I mean, it's more like a free-form fight. But if you watch a combat sambo tournament, it's only 1 6-minute round. and in that 1 6-minute round, I mean, these guys go all out. But it's not all out like two idiots going all out.
Yeah.
These guys go all out with unreal skill, unreal strength, and when they knock the guy out, the dude's out cold. And if you've ever seen a Russian or even shook the hand of a Russian, even the small dudes are like shit strong.
Yeah.
They're really shit strong. Alright.
Did you see that video of this girl? You know how there was this thing in Russia, right, where these kids were like climbing buildings, like skyscrapers, and taking photos, selfies of themselves.
Russians are like one of the most crazy.
So like these dudes, this chick was like getting interviewed by the Daily Show about like the walking on like skyscrapers, taking photos. Right. She was like, "Oh, in Russia we have like this saying," and she said it in Russian. Yeah. She's like, roughly translated, it means don't be a pussy.
Because Russians, I mean, those dudes are really tough because for them, even the women are bad at. I don't know about most of you guys, but I am not slept with a Russian hooker, but those who have, right, those who have or know a Russian hooker, you know how badass that chick is. That woman will cut your fucking balls off and serve them a shish kebab at the local fish store, man.
I didn't see that going in that direction.
Okay. But the point that I'm trying to prove is that Russian, all in general, are really tough.
That's a tough culture, man. That's a tough culture. Yeah, they don't give a fuck there. They don't have the problems that we have. Nobody's saying, "Ayo, don't go out in the rain, puta, you will get the flu." No, there's none of that shit in Russia.
It says if you get caught in the rain, you just drink 2 bottles of vodka and you'll be fine. If you die, then fucking who gives a shit?
Yeah, if you die, then you deserve to die. What, you gonna let the snow kill you?
Don't be a pussy.
Don't be a pussy. That's a like unofficial like national motto. I think it's don't be a pussy.
I mean, if you this is just going so off topic. I gotta say this. If you was to take every president in the world, right?
Oh, I had this conversation too.
Right? And if you were to put them in one situation where they had to fight
for
their differences,
Vladimir Putin would win.
Like really do what Scorpio does when he grabs their head and like pulls their spinal cord right out, and he'll win and he'll finish everyone.
No, for real, man. No, for real. I always have this conversation. If every world leader was like a cage fighter and everybody had to be like an MMA fighter, Vladimir Putin's the champion. He's destroying everyone. He's murking everyone.
And that'll be like world peace after that. Anyway, so off topic.
No, I don't think anyone's beating Vladimir Putin, man. Like that dude's not normal. That dude's some other kind of shit. Like fucking shirtless hunting bears in the Siberian wilderness and shit.
One time watching this video where this factory where they were basically being like dictators and they were like really working the workers to death, literally to death.
Jesus.
And he came in and he basically said, you either shut down and restart the way we want to, or I'm going to put every last one of you guys in jail. Okay, then in Russia, jail means you're going to get shot and left in a ditch. But anyway, so they were all shit scared, and then they all sit in this board table, and Putin signs off on the agreement that they are taking over and they can stay back in management, but under their rules. He calls up the CEO, like a little schoolboy to a principal calls a schoolboy. Come here, like in Russian, come here, sign this. And that guy's got like peer over, like stand next to Putin and he sign. And then he accidentally takes Putin's pen and goes back and sits down. Putin says, come back here, stand here, give me my pen back. And that dude, like, he bows and he gives the pen and like, that's so badass. That's so, I mean,
no, but you know what? Like, okay, after the Soviet Union fell, right? Like, Russia was a country that was like run by basically the Kremlin. Yeah. The Kremlin landed as a series of oligarchs, right? That's how it was run. It was a country run by a mafia, basically, right? In that situation, if you want to come up and be the leader of the country, it's not like you've got to be a good politician. You've got to be a good gangster. You've got to be the alpha gangster to be the Russian president.
You've got to be literally an alpha male.
It's way beyond alpha male, man. It's like, you got to be the alpha killer. Vladimir Putin has definitely killed his way to like his position. There's no doubt.
KGB guy, man. KGB guys. Okay. Talking about KGB and martial arts together. Back during the Cold War, right? KGB was so good at doing Sambo. Right? The Americans had no choice but to learn Sambo themselves to defend themselves. Whatever style that they were learning was so ineffective against Sambo. They had to learn Sambo just to defend themselves against the Russians. So the fact that the Russians know how if you was to learn a free-form fighting style, learning Sambo and learning combat Sambo, I actually wish I would have learned Sambo in my life, learn Sambo and then combat Sambo, because man, that stuff actually really makes you really strong, really durable, and effective in a fight. Right? We talk about effectiveness of style. The second thing is durability. I mean, in the day, it's a fight, man. If you're not gonna go in there expecting to get hurt, then don't fight at all.
People always think that like, oh, you can block, you can defend.
It's block and defend. It's like Tyson always said. Everyone has a plan until they get hit. Everyone has a plan until they get hit. But if you're not willing to go in there and actually condition yourself to say, no, I'm going to get hit, but I'm going to use those hits in order to get in close and finish my opponent off. Yeah. That's sort of like, I don't know, maybe a toll you got to pay to go over a bridge in order to get to the other side. But if you think you're going to go in a fight and not get hit and you're going to, that's a really stupid thing. Because one of my biggest philosophies is that if you look at most other fighters, they work on their body, they work on their skill sets, they work on their conditioning. But none of them, I don't know, probably you, correct, I may be wrong, I probably am wrong, but anyway, I just say, they don't bother to condition their faces. And when you look at a fight, that's the one thing you're trying to smash the living shit out of. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that you really try to smash the living shit out of. If you do not condition that, then you should never be in a situation where you like to learn to fight or you want to fight. Alright? That's okay. And
so hold on, how do you condition that?
Okay, well, one thing I used to do Muay Thai as well. I was in national side and I used to love it, and I used to like be obsessed with it. But if you were to look at a Thai guy, especially a Muay Thai guy, those guys are skinny as fuck. but they are freaking coffin nail tough. Coffin nail tough. There's no way you're gonna like beat a Thai guy at Muay Thai unless you really beat him up. Those guys are super tough and they got hardly any muscle on them. Those guys are real tough guys. Okay? What they do is they take a whatever, maybe 20 kilo weight or whatever, and then they tie a rope around it, and then they put it around their jaw, and then they just basically lift it straight up.
Like they bite it, you're saying?
They bite it down, and then they work their neck, and they work the weight up and down.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that your jaw gets really strong, and
bro, if you're listening on audio, Andrew's like
I'm lifting my head straight up and down from my chest.
Like he's nodding, but all the way up.
Yeah, all the way up, right? The full range of motion is the headbutt going up the vertical plane. Like I was saying, it's not the jaw that they really condition, it's the back muscle, it's the I don't know what you call it, the shoulder muscle or whatever.
No, it's like you're saying this muscle at the back of your neck, right?
Yeah, the back of the neck. You get guys who got really big neck muscle, because that's the muscle that absorbs all the pressure and the power of the head. So the more stronger you are there, the more of the blow that you can take, right? That's okay. That's the durability of your face. Secondly, it's your condition, your endurance. I mean, you can be the strongest dude in the sun, but if you get tired, fatigue, okay, Basrutin. Just all guys go online and just check out Basrutin. Basrutin, El Guapo, his nickname. Oh man, that dude is, he's a good-looking, scary dude. And he's bald, but he's one good-looking, scary dude. Because he always says that fatigue makes cowards of all men. It doesn't matter who you are.
Shit, that's deep.
Right? Working on your conditioning, it's not just running. It's not just doing like weights for so many repetitions to be in there. It's working on your skill set, or working on exercises that help you to do a particular movement in the fight. It's not about, because don't get me wrong, running and doing all that is necessary, but I rather concentrate my effort on doing movements that actually are used in a fight, rather than trying to do what everybody else does, right? Then second of all, weight training, muscle strength training. This is where everybody gets all heated up and it goes in the twist. I believe that in a fight, fine, in general, anyone when you're strong, anyone can lift, I don't know, maybe deadlift 150, 200 kilos effortlessly. There are guys out there who can do it. Right?
Probably not effortlessly, but like
no, there are guys out there.
But you can train and do it. Okay, yeah, you can. If you practice deadlifting, you can get really, really good at deadlifting. Yeah. That's what you're saying. Right? You're saying that like
deadlift, you can squat 150 kilos. You can even now bench 150. Let's not go. That's another whole ball. But okay, you can do all those major strength training exercises really well once you start working out. But that's just strength.
Yeah.
You're just building strength of just lifting a weight really effectively. But then again, when you look at a fight, it's never slowly lifting, it's explosively lifting. So when you do weight training, what I do, I kind of couple it where in between sets, I do explosive training. That means I put a lighter weight for that particular movement, like such as deadlifts or squats or my bench or even, I don't know, my snatch and grab, whatever. I do a lighter weight and then I just do it as fast as I can, like bang, as fast as I possibly can, because it's all about working your muscle fibers in order to twitch that way. It's all about making your nervous system twitch that way to engage the muscles for that strength that you have built in the other previous sets. Because if you do not, you're unable to get your nervous system to use that strength, it's actually of no use. Okay. That's a breakdown of just how.
And plus, man, when you're in a fight, man, you're always applying your muscles in like an awkward angle.
Yeah, it's always awkward.
You can never stand perfectly and like hold the dude. Like the dude's not gonna wait for you to like get your legs in perfect position. You got one knee on the ground, one like foot, your belly on your toes. You gotta lift the dude up in that position. He's struggling. You know?
Exactly as you're saying, Stefan. Because if you look at a dude, okay, you take a guy who's 80 kilos, right? And okay, most of you guys out there will be able to even lift 80 kilos, quite effortlessly. But if you was to lift a guy who's unconscious, that is 80 kilos, that dude is really, really heavy. Because it's not a mass that's
concentrated
mass of someone in one place. It's moving in every direction. Even if a guy who's unconscious, it's not a guy who's awake and who can stiffen his muscles so you can lift him. A guy who's like a dead weight is really difficult to lift. It's really difficult to lift. So the guys to learn how to deal with that sort of I don't know how would you say, like that type of weight, that type of way weight is distributed.
Distribution.
The guys they take sandbags. They fill a nylon bag full of sand to that weight, and then they do their weightlifting training. They do their fight training. They do their general training, because then you got to really work the smaller muscles, not the major muscles, but the smaller muscles to engage in order to lift it more effectively, right? And then you have your balance. You have to be careful. Like you said, you're on one knee, you're on one leg, you're in awkward position, you're off the back and everything. So, like working on the balance,
it's like being able to lift and move.
Exactly.
That's what it is, right? It's not just lifting. It's like you got to be able to lift and move at the same time. You got to be able to and then once you get good, you got to be able to lift and move an object that is trying to stop you from moving it.
That's the thing. That's another thing. Anyone can lift serious weight, but that weight is not doing anything but just staying in one place.
Yeah, that weight is punching you in the face, man. It's like the dumbbell is just like smacking you in the head while you're trying to lift it. That's the whole of the game, man.
I don't know if most of you all out there have maybe even known a guy who does judo or whatever. But if you take judo players, those guys are really small, but the way they can throw a human body is quite intriguing, because their muscles have got so used to throwing body weight around. That's why they're so effective at throwing. If you are a fresher and you go try judo for the first time, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to judo throw a guy. I still can't do judo throw a guy. I mean, I'm really trying my best to do it. I've been doing this shit for about 8 years. I still can. I basically gotta wait for that guy to kind of really come forward, lean his weight so far that I just only just have to turn my hips and then take a guy down. But a guy from standing for me to do a judo throw, forget it. That's not going to happen.
You look at Ronda Rousey, man. When she fucking throws people, that is some shit,
but
dude.
You just look at her size.
She's tiny!
But she throws men around.
Yeah. Do you see that? You see the one where the journalist got up in her face and was like talking shit and stuff like that, and she threw him? That dude was like, looked like he was like 180 pounds, 200 pounds, and she threw him like it was nothing. She like threw him and landed on top of him. It's fucking brutal.
Most of the guys in the UFC who do train with her, guys like Gegard Mousasi and even Melendez, even Jake Ellenberger, they all say she's crazy strong for a chick, man. But that's not because of a chick being strong. It's a judo way of doing things.
Yeah, it's a way of moving. It's a way of
moving, and also getting used to that body weight.
And it's so effective, man.
It's really effective.
So no one can stop that shit, man. When she grabs you, man, like no one has stopped that throw so far. Yeah. She's thrown everyone consistently.
That's so true. And let's come back to like what Stefano is about, effectiveness. Don't bother with doing such complex things in a fight, because let's face it, if you guys have been in a fight, y'all know who's been in a fight. I know those guys know. Your adrenaline is pumping, everything is going at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're trying to throw like a punch and it's going all over the place, and that dude tackling you and like you're rolling, you don't know what the hell is happening. If you do not work on some of the basics and the simplest movement that is really effective, you're not going to be able to do shit. This is where I'm trying to come back to the first thing I was saying about traditional martial arts and free fighting. If you take traditional martial arts, it's all about form. It's all about perfect technique. And if you look at it, it's about a guy doing one thing, and then you're countering that one thing that guy is doing. And then you try to apply that in a free fight where I do is try to kick you, punch you, take you down, and hold you down, and whatever. Push you against a wall, smash your head against a mirror, or take a bottle and hit you. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Because it's really stupid to think that it's going to work. Right? It's all about taking the simplest thing and then repeating it over and over and over and over again. It's all about that repetition.
If people got like an image in their mind, man, they think when you go into the fight, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then he's gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. None of that shit never happens like that. It never goes to plan.
You guys out there who have got in a fight, you know that's absolutely true.
Yeah. And all you guys who are pretending, you know. You guys be like, I'm in so many fights.
I've been coaching guys, and I've been learning myself. Guys I train, they beat the living shit out of me. I mean, I work harder to train with my own guys than I do for a fight. Okay, I mean, those guys are really good because the fact that it's all about using the simplest thing. I'm not saying that my system is perfect. There are guys with much better coaches out there, but I just stick to the basics as much as I can. And what we do is in sparring, I just tell them, just apply it. In whatever way you can apply it. Don't worry about it being, okay, yes, we'll be in this position for me to do this. No, try and just apply it. Just keep attacking. Just keep going for it. Don't worry if you mess up. That's why you do sparring. That's why you do training. Right? You just see what works and what doesn't. This is the philosophy of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee said, forget what doesn't work, use what's effective.
Yeah.
Right? That Bruce Lee was a Wing Chun guy. Right? He learned on the greatest Wing Chun practitioners and teachers of the 20th century. That's Ip Man. And he realized that when he went into a fight that it was not effective enough. Then he started working on his boxing, right? Then his boxing got really good. He changed up his stance and he thought, why would I want to keep my power hand back when I can keep it in front? Then he realized that his kicking was not as effective because it was just too low. It was just hitting below the waist because that's what Wing Chun teaches. And contrary to public belief, he and Chuck Norris were best friends for like 4 years. Okay? If you want, you research that shit out.
You gotta be really good friends to make a movie where you pull out the other dude's chest hair. Move right there. You gotta be bros to like do that, man.
And so when they train, Chuck actually asked Bruce, why don't you introduce more kicks into your game? And that's where you see Bruce doing his snap kicks like a freaking, I don't know, man, like electricity going to the sky as fast as you could see.
He's so crazy, man.
Right?
Those kicks are like.
But the fact, what I'm trying to say here, the philosophy of Bruce Lee, that he just said, okay, I'm just quoting, don't use limitation as limitation, right?
Yeah.
Don't use limitation as limitation.
He said, no limitation is limitation. Use no limitation as limitation. Use no form as form. Your form is no style is style.
No style is style. Because he just taught you to use your head. More than you fight, more than you're able to use your hands, your fists, your knees, whatever, your strength, it's your mind. And their fighting is 80% mental, 20% physical. It might even be 90% mental and 10% physical. Because if you are mentally ready to deal with problems, like I said before, the problems of each situation, you're not mentally able to realize it and do what you need to do, you're gonna be in a world of shit.
Yeah.
But mental doesn't mean like intellectual mental, right? It doesn't mean like you read a lot of books about it, and you watch a lot of videos, and you have like a good deep knowledge of the history of martial arts. Mental means like you've put yourself in really tough training situations. You've practiced like being afraid. You've practiced getting hit. You've practiced like being like putting your body under demands. Where when you're actually in that situation, your mind is calmer than it would be. Like you're alert. You're like active. You're not gonna panic and like freak the fuck out.
Exactly,
and panic attack.
Because when you're panic. Let's face it. When you're in a fight, your worst enemy is panicking, and if you panic, it's only going to get worse. The situation is not going to go away. It's just going to get worse. But the mental strength that you build, the only way you can condition it, because two things no amount of coach can teach you, or no amount of martial arts can teach you, is having the heart. Heart means not like the heart that beats in your chest. It's the will to fight. It's the will to want to fight, the will to want to win, and the will to not to quit. That's what we call heart of a fighter. Okay, and then you gotta have the mental strength. Mental strength comes through being able to push through panic. And in each of those situations that you get yourself into panic, those are the things that you have to train for. If anything, more than being the guy who's always dominant, the guy who's always beating everyone, try to put yourself in the bad situation as much as you can. Because when I started learning, okay, just to give my basic background of who I am, I was in the Muay Thai national squad for about 3 years. I did Jeet Kune Do for 2 years, right? Then I learned MMA on my own with the help of a few people.
And you did this back in the day, man. Like when I came and like I was training with you like the first time and shit, like what was that, 2009 and shit. That was like, there was maybe like 10 people in the country who knew what MMA was, man.
Yeah, and
like literally like 10 people in the country. It was like crazy.
And the reason why I did it, and I started like researching and training with my friends and just experimenting, because there was no one to teach me. And I'm really grateful for the coaches I had, like especially my Muay Thai coach, Master Manjuda, Master Juan. Those guys, they taught me for free for 3 years. I really worked a lot. And then having Master Jagat Caldera. If you want to learn how to have good form in your kicking and your striking and your movement, that's what you want to train at, right? The second is Michael Pedro. I'm sorry, bro, if I got your name wrong. But Michael from Sweden, he taught me a few Sambo moves and some things that really opened my eyes. And then also Anthony Condiati. Anthony Condiati is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt from California. Really nice guy. And that dude, he just keep it simple, man. Don't worry about making it too complicated. The simpler you keep, the better you're gonna get at. So these guys helping me to learn about martial arts. The rest of it was up to me to learn. So I became a YouTube fanatic. I just went online and kept researching, looking at videos, and I kept looking at other coaches, other guys who train really well, and the other fighters who train really well. And I started adopting training drills from them, training tips from them, going and learn how to eat right, learn how to exercise right, and just keep constantly experimenting. I'm still experimenting. Trying to get. You can never get the formula just perfect. It's all about constantly evolve. And I mean, that's just my basic history on why I'm where my martial arts are concerned. But what are we talking about before that? Anyway,
We're talking about mental strength.
Mental strength.
We're talking about how to develop mental strength.
Right. So what I did, yeah, thanks. There goes my mental strength right out the window, man. Anyway, my focus needs more focus, right? So, you gotta put yourself in a bad situation. You gotta be able to problem solve from that position. Yeah. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're gonna be in that position. Because eventually, let's face facts, man. That dude's not gonna allow you to be in the most comfortable position. He wants to put you in the worst possible position so that he has the advantage.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're trying to do to the other guy. Let's face facts. You're trying to do that to that kid.
Yeah.
So the more you work on being in a bad situation, that's where you're gonna really overcome it and reverse the situation and be the one who's the attacker and not the victim.
And like, it's highly probable that shit happens. Like, it's highly probable that something will go wrong, right? Like, you step to the left, you shouldn't have stepped to the left.
Murphy's law, man. Murphy's
law.
Yeah,
you slipped, you fell, your leg was like a bit tired that day. Anyway, like, it's highly probable that something is not going to go right.
In fighting, even if it's in a controlled environment like a cage or whatever, Murphy's law still applies. Anything that can go wrong, fucking will go wrong.
Yeah.
So you gotta just accept it. Oh, the floor was really slippery. Oh, that was a small rock in this thing. This thing.
I've seen dudes slide on that, like the sticker, man. On the sticker, the sponsor logo on the UFC cage. They slip on that, the dude hits him in the face.
And that's just the way.
Kimbo's fight, that should happen.
Not just Kimbo's fight. You got Chuck Liddell versus Randy in the second fight. While Randy was pushing Chuck back, Randy slipped for a second. Chuck saw the opening and he fired a straight right down the middle. A right cross.
Crazy, man.
Right hand right down the middle and finished Randy off. But that's just the nature of fighting. It's Murphy's law, in effect. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong, no matter how much you prepare for it. And then, staying on the subject of mental strength, then no matter how much you train, you gotta watch out the other factors of fight. That's adrenaline. That's the surroundings. That's the situation that you're in. You know, your heart is pounding, right? Your brain is racing, your adrenaline is really going through the roof. Then no matter how much you train, there's always going to be a dump in your skill set. There's always going to be, what I mean by dump is that it just leaves your system, it leaves your body, no matter how well you train, and no matter how much you've conditioned your fitness, it will go. It will go because of your nerves and that adrenaline. So, coming back to being simple, that's why when you keep it as simple as you possibly can, you don't necessarily have to worry about that adrenaline dump because you're able to overcome it because of your moves being simple.
It's like, man, I always say that, like, you know, if somebody wanted me to demonstrate submissions, I could demonstrate probably like 30 different submissions, right? Yeah. But if I was actually sparring or rolling, I could maybe do 4. And maybe 4 that I could actually pull off in like actual sparring or rolling, right? I could show you how to do a go-go platter, but I'm never going to do a go-go platter in sparring. It's never going to happen.
Now, we're going to get a bit technical now, but this is where you guys need to go online and get the idea of what we're going to try and talk about. There are okay, now when I train my guy, not my guy, my teammates and I, when we train, we just work on 6 basic submissions. And I categorize it into 2. One category is, like I said earlier, was chokes, submission, like air chokes, blood chokes. And the other is joint locks, right? The chokes are the 3 chokes. One is the guillotine choke, which is the front choke. Then you have the rear naked choke, 2 Superman choke. You do the regular, you just go online and research a rear naked choke, and then you research a Superman choke. Then we do something called an arm triangle. That's also, it's all the choke where you cut the blood flow of the air supply to the brain, and the brain shuts off. And then we do joint locks. There's arm bars from off your back, and then there's arm bars when you're on top of the guy, and then you get Americanas, and then you get leg locks. Those are the basic 6 that when we have been sparring and training, that we were able to pull off, not with ease, but able to pull it off. And then when we start doing it, we get really well at it. And then when I started reaching a combat Sambo. That's what they're doing. They're keeping it really simple and they're really effective. Then it's all about, like I always say, just keep it as simple as you can and just repeat it over and over again.
Yeah. Like Bruce Lee, the thing which says, I'm not afraid of the man who's practiced 10,000
there you go.
I'm afraid of the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah. You know? It's the effectiveness of what you do that really counts.
And then muscle memory matters, man. In the fight, you cannot think for shit. Like your IQ is about like 10% of like what it is before, right?
It's even less, because the thing is like, when you imagine a fight, you're like thinking, okay, like I can do this in a fight. The thing is, you don't have the time to even think.
You can't. Everything happens like it's really fast in a fight, right? Everything is like time is like some other thing. Like everything is happening ridiculously fast. Like so much is happening. Like, well, how much time has gone in there? It's like 5 seconds. But you still got another like 55 seconds to go. Like keep going.
Anyway, my first fight, right? Okay, if you want, you guys can research. I lost that first fight, and I'm taking nothing away from you. Not I'm beating fans, but that was my first MMA fight. My first fight ever in any type of situation. And all I remember was not the takedown that I took on the guy. It was just grabbing his leg, and that's all. Up to now, that's all I remember. That's all I remember. And
you mean remember, right? Like you don't remember the rest of.
I don't remember the rest of the fight. Then when I started watching the video, then I vaguely remember this part where he's like punching me. Then vaguely remember the part where he chokes me up. But the thing is that it goes so fast, and then I started realizing, shit, I need to work on being aggressive, keeping it simple, and also being in the bad situation. So when I train, actually, when the guys we train, we go hard. We really go hard. But it's not like we're trying to kill each other hard. But it's like the technique that we do it on each other. Like if you're punching, right? I tell the guy to keep your hands up, block it as you can. But we hit as hard as you can. And we kick as hard as you can. And you defend as hard as you can. But because then again, if you do not keep the reality of fighting and training and the gap that's in between it. And if you keep it too wide, it's going to be a really bad day when you go to fight. So I try to keep that gap as close as, because you can never keep the gap perfectly together, because then you're just going to keep hurting each other, and then you can't
and then you're going to be like shoot box and everyone's going to have like brain damage.
Exactly. But you keep it as close as you possibly can. And the repetition, working hard on the same thing over and over again, that's the thing that's going to really push you over. But then, okay, fine. Here I'm talking about simplicity. I'm talking about just average Joe guys, right? Like myself or whatever. Then you see the greats, right? The great coaches who really know to take a diamond, not a diamond, you take a piece of coal and make the guy into a diamond. Yeah. Those guys, okay, one coach that really stands up is Matt Hume. Matt Hume, he trains Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson is the 135 champion in UFC.
125.
Yeah, sorry. 125 champion, that's flyweight. The way
good, dude.
The thing is that, like I said in the beginning of the conversation, it's all about transitions. And Demetrius Johnson does transitions so well. From his striking to his takedowns to his grappling to his submissions to getting back up, striking the dude, going back down. His transitions are flawless, right?
Yeah.
Matt Hume saw the potential of Demetrius Johnson and really molded him into doing those transitions flawlessly.
Yeah.
The fact that Demetrius is really fast is an attribute of himself, but Matt Hume polished it to work together.
Now he goes from the punches to the kick to the takedown, everything is perfect, right?
And the thing is, like, when he's in the fight, he's winning every moment of that fight.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's not like he's winning the fight. He's winning like each move. Even when the dude's like punching, he the way he moves makes it to his advantage.
Yeah, so, he'll like outstrike the dude. If the dude gets a little bit of success in striking, a little bit, he'll grab him and take him down. Right? Then he'll be winning in the wrestling. If the dude's doing a little bit on the ground, like he'll stand back up and hit him. Like again, he'll stand up and kick him in the legs.
The thing is, you should never stick to just one thing. Just let it flow from
one
thing
man.
to
You
the other.
Don't know what that dude is gonna do, man. He's doing everything.
You just gotta let it flow from one thing to the other thing. And even going back to the first thing you do, like the last thing you want to do. The more you mix it up, it's not being reckless and just going mad. It's being concentrating on what you're doing, obviously. Concentrate on what you're doing and then work the transitions accordingly. And another thing, don't underestimate anyone. Even if it's a dude on the road, you've been training for years and years and years. Anyone can hit you and finish you. Don't ever underestimate anyone.
My story that I always tell people when it comes to this story is like, do you remember when we had that fight where David fought on the beach?
Yeah.
Do you remember before that Dulshan fought that guy?
Yeah.
Right? And that dude was a nobody. He'd never trained in a martial arts gym in his life. Yeah. He just watched videos and came, right? And like they were sparring and they were fighting, right? Like Dulshan's been training for like 10 years.
And
he's in peak physical condition, right? This dude just caught him with a wild hook. And he dropped him and he broke his nose. And because he was inexperienced, he didn't jump in and finish him. Yeah. But he could have finished him. Yeah. Anybody else could have finished him in that moment, right? Dulshan just got lucky. You know what I mean? And that's like a dude who's trained for 10 years versus the guy who's like neber been in like a martial arts gym in his life. You know?
Exactly.
You never know what's going to happen, man.
So that's, then one great coach is Matt Hume. And then you see the guys who are champion now, besides Jose Aldo, okay, and besides Jose Aldo is a straight up striker, straight up kickboxer. But the best part of the joke about Jose Aldo, he's a 2-time world champion in Jiu-Jitsu. And we've hardly seen him do Jiu-Jitsu. He's a sick Muay Thai practitioner. Every single one of the champions in the UFC, right? I'm not much for the UFC, just to let you guys know. I think it's really, even though it's at the top of the sport, it's not the best talent that you can see in the world. Anyway, if you take the champions, each one of those guys can wrestle really well. You take Demetrius Johnson, can wrestle really well. TJ Dillashaw is a really good wrestler, right? Then you have
Pettis is probably the other guy who's a striker.
Pettis and Jose Aldo, right?
But then like Hendricks.
Hendricks is a really sick wrestler.
He won that Robbie Lawler fight with his wrestling. Like he was for going in the 5th round. He probably was gonna lose if he didn't take him down and hold him down. You know.
Then you got Chris Weidman.
Yeah.
Then you got John Jones. And then you got Ken Velasquez. Each one of those guys can wrestle really, really well.
Yeah.
If you I'm not trying to say the wrestling is really well. It's the grappling aspect of fighting. When we train, especially when we train Brawl mixed martial arts,
you haven't plugged the thing enough, man. You should plug this up. When we train at Brawl mixed martial arts in Ebola. Call me, not 791.
No, that's kind of late.
No, go on anyway, yeah.
So when we train at the gym, our striking is effective that style Muay Thai. Just beat the living shit out of the guy. Every basic technique of Muay Thai as hard as you can. But our grappling, our takedown and grappling, we focus a hell of a lot on. Submission and our ground fight really serious. Because when you're able to fight off your back or fight on the ground, you can dictate where the fight goes. You can keep the fight standing, or you can take the guy down, or you can control the guy in the clinch. You're the king of doing what you want. But if you're just good at just being a striker and the dude takes you down, then you're in a lot of shit. But if you just concentrate just on your grappling, if you fight a grappler and you just focus on your grappling and you fight a kickboxer, that dude sprawls and defends the takedown, you're in another world of shit. Yeah.
But it's like a grappler, man. The reason why it's so effective, right, is that a grappler, if a grappler shoots on you, now you have to grapple back. You can't you know what I mean? If someone's striking with you, you can grapple with them, right? But if someone's grappling with you, you can't strike with them unless you defensively grapple first.
Yeah, and the thing is, striker, you can always have that lucky punch.
Yeah.
But if you're better on the ground,
that's consistent.
There is no way you're gonna lose.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's the only way you can lose if that dude, I don't know, maybe reverses the position.
But he would have to at least know defensive grappling. He'd be able to sweep or something like that, right? It's like the grappling is like the skill where you get to impose on the other person, you get to fight him where you want to fight. And that's why when we used to have events and shit, right, in Colombo, right, when there was MMA events and stuff that took place, and you had these dudes what was the name of that guy, remember, who was really good with the triangle chokes and shit?
Yeah,
Lassiter, right? That dude,
he was a treat to watch.
Fucking sick jiu-jitsu, right? And he'd been training for 8 months, right? And you would Akman and shit, and they fought these guys who were men who trained for years and shit. These dudes were winning because they were grappling and those dudes were trying to strike, right? And it's not like those dudes were in better physical condition. They were better at doing their techniques than these kids were at their techniques. But because they were grappling, those dudes couldn't grapple back. They were losing fights. You know what I mean? And these dudes, black belts who trained for 10 years, were just getting their asses handed to them just because they couldn't grapple. You know, it's that was the big revelation, right? And that was a big revelation in MMA in 1993 with Hoist Gracie.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now because MMA is new in Sri Lanka, it was a big revelation here as well. We had a re-revelation here.
But still, everybody wants to stand and fight. Everyone wants to stand and kickbox. No one wants to really work on their grappling game where they're able to transition from grappling to striking to grappling.
I think it's because it's hard, man.
It's hard.
People don't want to put in the effort. It's really hard. It's really easy to punch. It's really hard to wrestle, man. Fucking tiring as shit.
When we train at the gym, we do rounds where grappling is sparring, right? One guy's on one round off his back, and he basically has to fight off his back, and the other guy's on top. The next round, that guy switches over. So we work a hell of a lot of being in a bad position. And trust me, when someone on top of you, especially a guy who knows what he's doing, and he starts, we don't hit each other, but we kind of simulate the hit. But the fact that he's controlling you, and then when he's doing it, you realize, holy shit, this is my training partner. He's not really hitting me, but if this was a real fight, I'm fucking fucked.
Yeah, when you're in that ground and pound position, man, you got 5-6 seconds to do something or you're fucked.
That's especially that 5-second thing that what he's trying to say is that the explosive strength comes into this.
Yeah.
If you're able to explode and get out of there and push the guy away or reverse the guy, that all comes off of explosive strength.
If the dude on top settles into a rhythm, right? but like you'll be done in 4 or 5 seconds. Like he'll knock you unconscious in 4 or 5 seconds if he gets into a rhythm, right? He just has to settle his hips on top of you, and you're fucked. That's it. That's the end of the night. Like that's it, right? That's like the most dangerous position you can be in. Is like on your back with somebody on top of you.
That's like that's like a bad gay porno going wrong. But at least no one has any fun, and then the one guy goes to sleep. Anyway, so
One guy goes to sleep. That's probably what gay marriage is like. One dude goes to fuck, one dude goes to sleep. Like, that's what happens.
So I mean, but that's just the nature of free fighting. Because okay, now we've been talking about competitive martial arts here. Let's take military martial arts, military hand to hand. If you take MAC is the Marine Corps martial arts program. I mean, those guys do a lot of hand-to-hand like movements like you would see in traditional martial arts. But the basic, I mean, when they really fight it out, they focus a hell of a lot on like mixing wrestling with jiu-jitsu, and they are more brutal strikes of like finishing the dude off, breaking the neck, hitting the groin, breaking the shin, breaking the knee. But everything is based off of their grappling. Everything based off the grappling. That's the Marine Corps. Then you get the U.S. Army Combat Division. U.S. Army Combat Division is basically MMA, right? That they're taught to do. Then, okay, we spoke about the Russians. Sambo and Combat Sambo is what's taught to the Russian armed forces. Now, I know Specna is out there. Sorry, not Specna. Systema is out there that Specna is used. That's the Russian Special Forces. But Systema, I get to seek to believe it. Right? Not that I'm against it. I want to seek to believe it. It's sometimes too good to be true.
What is this?
Systema is the Russian hand-to-hand system, which basically uses like a free-form fighting. Like free-form fighting, what I mean is that you flow. It's never been rigid. It's just flowing with your attack. As your attack comes forward, you're just flowing with the dude, and you're moving in such a way that you not necessarily master it, but you move in such a way that it's so fluid that you turn that guy's motion against him without using too much strength. And the way they hit, it's, I don't know how they do it. That's the thing. I just don't know how in my mind to calculate it when you compare to other martial arts, other fighting styles. The way they hit, when the guy hits, like he just basically like flicks his hand onto the dude, on his chest. They don't even say on the dude's chest, and this big dude just drops down, and this guy's like he's convulsing, because it's difficult to really fathom unless you experience yourself. It's difficult to understand when I'm talking. Just go online and go to YouTube and just check out Systema. Right?
But I know what you mean, man. Like, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Because the problem is there's so much fucking mythology in martial arts.
Yeah.
There's so much myths, man. There's so many, like, this fucking, like, the latest Sri Lankan myth is Angampora myth. You know what I mean? Like you get these guys. I mean, there are people who have done Angampora and who know how to fight and who are, like, good. But there's a lot of dudes out there who's like, I'm just gonna touch you like 3 times, you're gonna die in 3 months. Like, I'm gonna hit you with a vibrating palm, you're gonna die in 3 months.
That's fucking bullshit. Like, I'm not disrespecting Angampur because I've seen Angampur and I know Angampur. Angampur
is a traditional Sri Lankan martial art.
The traditional Sri Lankan martial art, which is steeped in a lot of tradition, and it's a war fighting. It's a war fighting style, right? But this whole aspect of like where I touch you and you die, that's fucking bull.
Maybe if you have AIDS.
Okay. I sincerely apologize for anyone who has AIDS. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, it's not. We didn't mean it like we meant that you should wear one.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, we should all practice safe sex. You might have HIV, you might not know. We should always take it into account.
Sure. So, I lost my train of thought.
Angapur, man.
Angapur, yeah. And the thing is that, talking about this guy where they touch you and they kill you.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Maybe some Shaolin monk, maybe if you're not moving, he touches you in a certain way and you fall.
I'm not even sure that's true.
That
I
maybe not even true, but the thing is so touching and if you falling dead and it, I mean even guys who do Aikido and I'm talking Aikido because of the fact that my brother-in-law she was Aikido master. I mean, when he got in a fight, he hardly used any of his Aikido. He just punched the dude in the face and kicked it in the groin and he won the fight. He just resort, and he was a master, legit master. Okay? But that's easy. I just blocked the dude and I punched him in the face and kicked him in the groin. He was out. He used the most simplest thing. And then, okay, continuing with martial arts in the military, then you have Krav Maga. Now, Krav Maga, it's the form of fighting that uses the most brutal techniques but the most simplest to do, simplest to remember. And that's why they're so effective, because when you fight, it's all about the most simplest thing. And they realized it. And the way they train, especially Krav Maga and the special force like Yassas, Mossad, and several other special forces groups that they never mentioned in Israel. There's this instant where they have this in the special forces training facility where they train ground fighting with a knife, with a legitimate real knife, where you're off your back. Okay, now we were talking about sport MMA where the guy is on your back, and that guy's on top of punching you. What about you have a skilled military special force operative on top of you, and you're off your back, and he has a real blade. He's trying to legitimately cut you, and the instructor turns the lights on and off, and you're trying to defend yourself. Talk about getting fucking your asshole and your mouth at the same time, and then unable to breathe. Because that's what real situations are. Everyone forgets that. Everyone tries to think, no, you're gonna do this and he's gonna do that. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong.
Some switch the lights on and off.
You never know. You never know. You just don't do the double with a knife. You just never know. You just never know. That's just the reality of fighting. It's just what can go wrong. The simplest thing to defend yourself is the thing that's no win. And you gotta have the will to fight. You gotta have the will to fight, the want to fight, and want to basically survive and live. Or don't fight at all. Just walk away from the fight.
It's hard, hire someone to fight for you if you don't have the will to fight.
And and if you take most hand-to-hand systems that are used by any force around the world, there's a grappling aspect to it, because 80% of the fight will end up on the ground. You take the Navy SEALs. I mean, they do this martial arts program for 2 months straight. That means for the first month, they just go mad, balls out, and it's brutal. It's like they don't sleep. They just constantly beat the shit out of you, and you just learn technique, and you just go on. And then there's no break after the first month. They repeat the same process for the next month, and you just go through pretty much hell. And if you can come out of that in one piece, you can go through anything in life. Now that's the Navy SEAL. In Israel, their special forces, their combat system, you learn how to do hand-to-hand and Krav Maga and whatnot for 2 years straight, and you train 5 hours every day, no exceptions. You get kicked in the groin, you get beat up, you get everything. That is just your hand-to-hand training, not forgetting your physical training, which is even more brutal. And then you gotta learn how to shoot, you gotta learn how to be demolitions expert, you gotta be able to be smart, you gotta learn strategy, learn weapons. It's so intense. But then again,
learn to hate Palestinians.
I'm not even going there. Let's not go there. It's so wrong what's happening there.
It's so fucked up.
On both aspects. On both sides, it's wrong. Anyway, that's another podcast. Tune into that one. We're going to do Palestine and Israel. And we get
We'll solve the problem. Or
we get really
really high, we'll solve the problem. We can do it.
Shit on the hate. So, and the fact that when you train that's how a fight is. It's so much chaos that's going on, and it's about being comfortable with that chaos.
Yeah.
But not lazy, but being able to deal with it. So, I mean, that's just basically, I mean,
you know what you were saying about the problem solving thing?
Yeah.
Right. So there's this dude who's like, this dude Daniel Ebola, right? There's a podcast called like The Drunken Taoist, which is an awesome podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, you should listen to that podcast, right? And one of the things he talks about is how he applies that like problem solving sort of mentality of MMA.
Yeah.
Of like take what works and what doesn't work, and try everything. Whatever works for you, you keep it. Whatever doesn't work for you, you get rid of it. He talks about how you just apply that philosophy in everything in your life, right? So it's your spirituality, whether it's your morals, whether it's like what kind of lifestyle you want to have. Like you just approach life from that MMA kind of problem solving mentality.
Just be. Don't have a narrow mind. Don't always keep an open mind. Especially for fighting, when you want to learn. I'm always going to be a student. No matter what I do, I'm always going to be a student.
We're all always going to be students, you know.
Just always keep your mind
students of life.
Your life. And just absorb what works and just get rid of what doesn't work for you. Don't just follow the herd, and when they say you got to do it like this, you got to do it like this. And if it doesn't work for you, you need to get rid of it and try something else. Don't just do it because this person say, or even the shit that I'm telling you right now, this is the same thing I tell my guys. Even these two guys who train, they train with me. Don't listen to what I say. All I'm just giving you is just a basic foundation. Add upon it, build upon it, and become the martial artist that you can be. Because this is just a fundamental thing, just a basic foundation. You becoming a martial artist is up to you. You gotta be able to say, you know what, there's a better way of doing it. And I'm a guy who says, show me. I want to learn. I want to know. And I'm always want to learn. The moment you say you've learned everything, that's when you actually lose. You lose. You lose your mental strength. You lose your will to fight, your technique to fight. Everything goes up because when you stop saying, I got the right formula, there's always going to be, no matter how good you are, there's always someone better. There's always someone better. And you cannot ever dispute that. And that's just the way of competition is. That's the way fight is. You gotta always train for that one dude who really hurt you or even kill you. That's why it's always better to just walk away from the fight. Just walk away. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
If you are okay, fine. Only time for me, my personal the time when I would fight situation. One, my life is in serious danger, and another thing is if someone I care about is being hurt, or if a woman is being raped or being hurt, that's the time when I'm gonna open up and like maul this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm like maul this motherfucker, like this type of shit that the mafia would cut the body up and throw it in a ditch somewhere. Like that's how serious I am. Because that's the way you gotta be. Because if you don't turn that switch on, that primal switch on to fight and defend yourself, that dude will kill you. That dude will hurt
for real, this is a big problem that I have, like in my life. I try to explain to people, right? And I always have this fear that, like, if you ever have to go to court or whatever because somebody attacked you and you try to defend yourself and like get to like hurt them and shit, like people don't get, like people say, oh, if somebody attacks me, I won't kill them. I'll just hit them like, you know, in the face and like it'll be over. It's like it's never like that. It's never like that in a real fight. You know, especially if the other guy's stronger than you. Like if you want to win, you've got to have the mentality like if you believe that like I'm going to kill this person, you just might get away with like your life. That's what it's like. Yeah, if your mentality is like I will fucking like murder this guy, I'm not going to like hold anything back. The result is probably going to be that it's just tiny close fight and like you just win, like you just
going to court or going to jail at that point is the last thing that should be on your mind. Because if you're dead, you're not going to go to court or jail. You know what I mean? You got to be able to get out of there. It's not worth it. That's why when I tell guys, even for me, if I'm going to fight, I'm going to be all out. I'm going to kill this dude. Because that's when you become really effective. That comes back to being effective. Right? But at the end of the day, like I said before, it's not worth it unless it's your life or someone's in danger.
Or someone else's life.
Someone else's life. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I will just walk away. If you think you're in a club and some dude goes your girl and you're like, I want to kill this nigga. Well, then you need to not take your girl to the goddamn club, man. Then, if you don't want to start shit. Because when you take a girl to a club, every dude is going to look at her. I mean, come on. You guys sitting out there saying, I will not look at another girl. We've all done it. But is that really worth it to go up and fight a dude and then give him a serious fight? And what's worse, if that dude has a knife, oh man, let's not talk about
Or a
knife.
bottle?
Or a
A
bottle.
bottle is a serious fucking weapon, man. You get hit really hard with a bottle, you're dead.
Yeah,
Like, you're gonna fucking die. Like,
I mean, the one thing that scares the living shit out of me in many situations is the guy with a knife. Because I started like going online and really researching about weapons fighting. More than a gun. If you take a gun, the danger enough of a gun is just one end. The point where the barrel where the bullet comes out from. If you take a knife, if you honestly really look at it, every angle of a knife, of all points of the knife can kill you. Okay, obvious point of the knife. It goes in, you're dead. Right? Then you got the blades. If it cuts you, you're gonna get cut really deep and you're gonna bleed to death. Then you're thinking, okay, those are 3 points. It's a 2-bladed knife. Then you got the butt of the knife. The butt of the knife is even more deadly than the point, because if you hit it too hard enough in the head with the butt of a knife, the internal bleeding will kill the dude, because the blood can't go anywhere else. They kill it in the brain or whatever it's point, and then the guy dies.
I mean, I had this dude that I went to school with in Australia, man. Like, who was like, this one of these kind of scenes. It was like a club fight. That dude was out one night and he got into an argument, and like some dude just stabbed him, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And the dude just died. Like, dude just fucking stabbed him. Like he's dead. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous, man. Like, people, like, they've got, like, issues at home and, like, their girlfriends being, like, giving them grief and shit or whatever the fuck, or their bosses riding them or whatever the fuck it is, right? And those dudes, they go out drinking and, like, they're ready to go, man. They're ready to fucking kill people. Like, they're sexually frustrated, socially frustrated.
It's not just that person. It's every one of us. We've all been there in a point where we're at a point where we're so angry, and it just takes one person to say the wrong thing to push us over the edge.
Yeah.
Every one of us.
Man, and you know what's really fucked up is when people say shit like, nah, he doesn't look like a fighter, you don't look like a fighter, that guy doesn't look like a fighter. That's the most retarded shit, man, because some people, like, people who don't fight think that fighters look like bodybuilders, right? It's never like that. The deadliest motherfuckers in the world look like fucking Nate Diaz and shit, you know, like some skinny
let's take someone
even Fedor, man.
Yeah, Fedor looks like my uncle's chubby
Like,
uncle, man.
if you put him in a lineup with other Russian badasses, like, you couldn't pick him out as the dude who would whoop everybody.
I mean, okay, even if you take Bruce Lee, and Bruce was really small. But Bruce is a dude who could kick your gut in so bad that you vomit. I mean, you vomit your gut on one end, you shit your gut out the other end. You know what I mean? But the thing is that's why don't underestimate anyone. You just never know what people are doing.
You never know, dude. You never know.
That's why it's better to just walk away. Just walk away, man. It's really not worth it at the end of the day. You guys out there who have been in a fight, you know, the next day you're hurting like a real bitch, and you're like, fuck, man, was it really worth it to get hit like this? It's not worth it at all. Walk away. It's not worth it at all. Okay, I know there are most of you guys who like beating people up and like, I'm not being in that situation. Wait till you meet a motherfucker that beats the shit up.
Man. What I always say is like, man, there are loads of people who think that they like to fight, but they just like to beat people up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you are not. That's not
fighting.
That's being a bully, and you're not a guy who will fuck you back.
Yeah, that's not fighting. Fighting is when like if you fight, if you're in a fight, you have to be unsure of the outcome. That's a fight, right? Like, that's a fight. If you've got like 7 guys around you and the other guy's on his knees and you're like slapping him, that's not a fight. You can't tag on to a fight. You can say, oh, I bullied a guy and slapped him.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just like my philosophy on how fighting. You know, but in the end, just walk away. It's like okay. To sum all this mad shit we've been talking, or whatever amount of time we've been talking, it's 2 simple things. One choice, you either walk away, or if you're gonna fight, you fight to kill. Plain and simple. One of the choices, you either walk away, or you fight to kill. That's why both of those choices are easy to make. You either say, I can walk away because if I do fight, I gotta kill the dude. is it really worth me killing the dude? Because if you're going to save your life, or you got to defend someone whose life is in danger, then you go all out. Or if it's not a situation of that magnitude, walk away.
And it's like, man, it's like when people say, you say fight to kill. It's not like you fight to kill because you like enjoying murdering people, shit like that. It's because that is the only realistic expectation that you can have of a street fight, right? Anything else, if you think, nah, I'm not gonna kill him, I'm just gonna like beat him up, that's a myth. Like you're living in like a fairy imaginary land. It never happens.
Not everyone is gonna show restraint. If they're hurting you, they're gonna really hurt you.
Yeah, they're not gonna hold back, man. See, if you hold back, like you're gonna lose, and then your life is gonna be in their hands.
Exactly, and you don't want to put your life into someone's hands who you don't know what they do to you. That's the worst.
Especially because they're already pissed at you. Like, they're already fucking you up. Like. You wouldn't put your life in your enemy's hands like that. Like, what the fuck?
That's what I mean. Fighting. I mean, most of you all out there, you might think of fighting, we only thugs doing all that shit. What we are trying to say, once you've been in a fight and you focus yourself on training hard, you realize the impact of what you learn. If you apply it to someone, you know what will happen. Because that thing has happened, it has been applied to you. That's why you see a lot of these really good fighters. They may talk shit and everything, but they exercise a shitload of restraint.
Yeah.
Right? Because they know what they're capable of doing. That's where they know to turn the switch out to kill someone. Or just walk away because it's not worth it. You get the exceptional rule guys who just know how to beat it and being beat up who still want to kill someone else. But those are the psychos out there. But then again,
that's another thing, dude. There are some psychos out there. You don't know who's a psycho and who's not a psycho, dude. Like, you never know when you'll encounter a fucking psycho. Do not start fights. You don't know who you're starting a fight with. Like, you do not know. You do not know. This dude could be fucking, like, running from the police. Like, he could be like a fucking, like, child murderer. You don't fucking know. You don't know what type of dude this is. This dude could be, like, some dude who, like, used to, like, before he met you, like, a year ago, he was raping dudes in prison. Like, you don't know what kind of dude this motherfucker is.
Even if you take a guy who's hopped up on drugs, man, those guys, they can't think because they're so hopped up on the high. And they will not care about you. They stab you and they continue stabbing you and they'll hurt you. They continue to hurt you to get dead.
Yeah, you mean like someone on stimulants and shit. Like someone who's on, like, coke, someone who's on, like, meth.
Like, seriously, because the thing is that they are not in control. Their conscience is not in control. It's just the emotion that's in control. So, I mean, it's really scary. I've seen that happen. I mean, it's really traumatic. But hey, it's not worth it. Just you gotta walk away. If possible, take your damn shoes off and run. You know what I'm saying? Just run as fast as. Your only thing that's gonna get really hurt is your ego. I mean, is your ego really worth it for getting beat up or killed? Or even killing another dude? Remember, you kill someone, that's whether you go to jail or you get away with it, that's gonna be on your life till the day you die. Whether you know God or you don't know God or whatever, that's always gonna be on your conscience. Right? Even if you ask God to forgive you for it, you will know deep down in your heart what you did. And that's never gonna go away. Right? Taking another man's life will never leave. But that's why, just walk away, run away. If you feel like you're going to get cornered with someone you love, you need to grab the person and run with them and run away from the situation. Don't stay there. It's not good. It's really not good. And yeah, so, like, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
What else?
That was some intense not fighting shit, man.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about not fighting.
The guy, it's.
But I think, like, when you talk about, like, the cultures about, like, who do fight, I think the thing is, like, a lot of times it happens where when you do fight, then there's certain understanding.
Yeah.
And so there's, I think, like, for example, the reason, like, in some places you don't have to lock your doors. Like there's that social
That's
contract.
Canada.
Yeah, you have this social contract, and so in like places where fighting is complex, I think there's also that sort of even a street fight is also a sort of social contract.
Yeah, also
Canada.
Canada.
So you don't necessarily have to seriously worry about the other dude like maybe stabbing you or like gouging your eyes and like biting you or something. So there are these allowances that like
It's like hockey fighting, right? You know, like when you watch like ice hockey.
That's
when
the
they fight.
worst part, we all insult Canadians and then
No,
see
they're
hockey.
tough as fuck. No.
Canadian hockey
I
players,
think
those-
any really fucking cold country, right?
Yeah!
Russians,
Russians.
it makes badasses. I think like
They're so sick and tired of the cold.
no,
man.
it's like generations and generations of people fighting wolves and bears in like minus 20 degrees weather. This is like that. This is like a serious pioneer, survive the like elements kind of like mentality, right?
Yeah, and the thing is like I don't know. I've been in like minus 20 degree weather once, and it's painful.
Yeah, it's painful.
It's just everything hurts, and you can't get away from it. And like maybe now you have like modern heating houses and things, but like before, like shit,
Yeah.
you have to deal with that like 8 months of the year just in that frozen pain.
Jesus
That's
Christ,
man.
man.
Anyone.
Do all your work.
I mean, my biggest problem, like, I mean, like, you have girl drama and you complain about that shit. Imagine when you have girl drama, but it's also minus 20 degrees weather and you're in, like, the Canadian wilderness and shit.
And balls are pasted together and you can't get erected.
Yeah, it's like you want to jerk off, but it's like, do I really have the time to boil water to pour it on my balls? Like, how intense would that shit be? That's some serious choices you're gonna make about your life in that moment, man. So, I don't know. It's like, okay, so what you're saying, right, in hockey, right? In ice hockey, when two dudes fight, all the other players don't get involved. All the other players, like, just wait, right? The referee comes and he also doesn't get involved. They take off their helmets, they take off their gloves, and they fight until one dude falls on the ground. Like, those are the rules, right? And those are not official rules, but every hockey player follows those fighting rules, right? And you get a 5-minute penalty.
Yeah.
They don't give a fucking hockey.
And there's this one picture of two hockey dudes fighting in a hockey. And the picture, and in one corner of the picture, these two guys fighting. On the other end, two guys from both the teams just folded and said like, these dudes are dumb shit too. And it's like such a contrast of seeing hockey players do that.
It's just like a part of their culture, man.
Yeah.
It's because they are fighting culture. But we have a calling the uncle culture. That's the problem.
Let's
Like,
call this guy.
we have a calling
Man up,
culture.
man. God damn it.
You know, we don't have that, like, that's the big problem that I have with it. It's very, cause it's like, at the end of the day, man, like, if you wanna speak, like, you should be able to back yourself up.
Yeah.
You should need to have, like, on other people to back you up.
And I think like the whole part of like if you actually did want to like fight someone, it's because like you have this like mental anguish at them, like whether it's all because of them or because of something else. But the point is to get that out. So like the whole point of like if you were to say start the fight, the point of the fight would be the fight itself, like not the outcome and not like who wins and like not
like primary school fights, you know what I mean? You're angry with the other dude, you fight him, and then like afterwards you're like friends later.
And then you share it on lunch.
Yeah, next day you sharing lunch.
And you become best friends after that.
Yeah.
And then you like when back in school, how do you guys get friends? We leave shit out.
Yeah, for real, man. For real.
That's how most guys become best friends because of that. But you never see two girls who are best friends and they fought before, like they fight. I mean,
nah, I reckon if girls fought each other, they'd probably. Most girls hate their friends. That's like a difference between men and women. I don't know. Women have their friends that they really like, and then they have like their friends that they hang out with, but they don't like them.
they hate them, but they still want to hang out with them.
It's a very strange thing, man.
What's up with you guys?
That's a real like that's a specific. I'm not saying all women because I know a lot of women who don't do this, but I know a shitload of women who do this, and I don't know guys who do this. Guys won't hang out with someone they don't like.
Yeah, true.
That's the strange thing. They be like, oh, I fucking hate him. You know, I hate her. Oh, going shopping, I hate her. We're hanging out, I hate her. Oh, like
Don't hang out with her.
I don't understand.
It's crazy time. I mean, we as humans, we're like one of the craziest bunch of them.
Yeah, we're a bit weird.
All the animals must look like look at those dumb fuckers just walking around with all their lattes and going about all this shit.
Yeah.
Look at us, we're just eating grass and humping each other. What more fun can you get? And eating and having sex.
Yeah, grass and sex. Those are both
And eat the random gazelle that's running. And sleep and have sex. I mean, they have it easy.
And fighting. They fight. But they don't call their uncle to fight.
It's like you
man, actually,
You've seen an animal call his uncle?
Yeah, no, it works in this way. They're like different Japanese macaques, like these monkeys in Japan, native to Japan.
Yeah, Dad. Hello. Hello. Yes.
Did you see how pretty this looks? Look how pretty that
Pardon? I'm in Mount Lily with my friend doing the podcast. Eh? Okay, Dad.
Sorry.
Like macaques.
Yeah. So basically, the society of monkeys and how they organize themselves as a group is they're very, very hierarchical. So as a dude who's from a higher hierarchy, as a monkey from a higher hierarchy, he can beat the living shit out of someone from a lower hierarchy, and that dude can't hit him back. Right. But that dude will find his weaker nephew who is on a lower hierarchy and beat the shit out of him.
That's just how a mafia works.
That's so crazy, man.
It's like a mafia.
That's so intense.
And yeah, we have some of that in us, for sure.
We are monkeys after all.
Yeah, we're definitely like Japanese macaques. Like, you know what I mean? That's the one. We're not like bonobos. We should be more
yes,
like bonobos.
That's
we should just solve all our problems with fucking. Like, we should be like...
That's so happy, you know? Even if you take people, if you go online, at least one shot you'll see these bonobos fucking, and they're like smiling into the camera.
It's actually frustrated, man. That's how that shit is. It's like... All these dudes calling their uncles, it's because they're sexually frustrated. That's the real like problem. That's the deep seated thing.
And another thing, guys, okay, we all know this. Don't fight over a woman. It's not worth it, man.
Dude, you say we all know that, but that's the most common
reason why guys fight. And then the best part of the joke, after a certain amount of time, that chick gonna leave you. And then you're like, why did I beat that dude out with this woman?
No, man. Usually when she leaves, then you get into another fight.
Fight with her, and the dude that she's gonna be with, and it's not. Oh my goodness, man! You're a man. Grow some balls, right? Don't fight over your woman unless that dude is trying to hurt her or rape her or whatever. Then you have every right.
That's not a fight over your woman. That's a different story. It's not like that. It's some other shit that like.
I mean, if the reason why you fight with another guy over your girl is because you're insecure about holding your girl.
I think it's like an emotional thing. I think it's like some kind of like, because I also think it's like men solve problems, like emotional problems, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have an argument with someone or somebody hurts your feelings. Yeah. You can solve that problem through violence.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't deal with problems with women in that way, right?
Women do the same thing. Men, it's all about emotion. Logic goes
but
right
what I'm
out the
saying
window.
Is like, you can't, if I'm angry with DK and like then me and DK like fight and then like later we'd be cool. It's like if I'm angry with a woman, like me and her can't fight and then later we can't be cool, right? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's some kind of like gender disconnection there, man. That's where like this problem comes from. So instead of fighting with her, you project that onto another guy and then you're fighting another guy over her. It's like she was flirting with another guy.
And there are so many instances where they fight over the girl and the girl leaves and those two guys become best friends.
Yeah. You know? No, it's like she was like flirting with another guy and you're really pissed at her, right? But you can't hit her, so you're gonna go hit the guy that she was like flirting with. Obvious, don't hit women. Oh my god, dude. Seriously, it's not what I'm advocating. My point being that like you're projecting this energy because you can't deal with it in like a constructive way. Right? So you're pushing that energy out in like a brutal, stupid, like physical, like violent way. Right? And it's like, it's really not that dude's fault. Right? Like what? Like you've never tried to like get with a woman? Like what? Like, like everyone would try, right? If it's anyone's fault, it's like, it's whoever's in the relationship's like fault. Right? So don't start fights over that shit, man. It's not fucking worth it.
Absolutely. Women love that shit, man. They sometimes do that on purpose.
Yeah, man, that's what fucking Twilight is about. I swear to God, dude, Twilight's about that shit.
Oh, Twilight.
Twilight's a fucking book about like women watching dudes fight.
Yeah, and the best part is that those two guys are fighting over this one woman who's like emotionally challenged. Every emotion on face. I'm smiling on face. Surprise on face.
Yo, you know
I'm
that's
angry,
the movie.
on face.
You know, but I read the first book,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like that in the book.
When you say like for a moment, I'm like, oh, you're gonna dispute me wrong, right? No, it's just like
No, dude, that woman's not even a good writer, dude. All right, in the book, everything's like, oh my god, the way he moved, it was incredulous. Oh my god, when he hit the ball with the baseball bat, it was incredulous. Oh my god, the way incredulous could mean anything, right? Incredulous could mean really shitty, really good.
It's like the magical word of fuck.
No, it's like nice. It's like we say, oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's incredulous. That's incredulous. That's incredulous.
It's even like fuck. Just look at the word fuck, okay? Fuck would mean that you're angry with something. Or fuck that could mean something really good, or something really awesome,
Yeah,
or something really bad. Fuck can mean anything.
Fuck can mean anything.
Yeah, it's like the universal language. Next to numbers, you can put fuck in there, you know?
Yeah. No, you could make a whole sentence as just the word fuck. Like if you were
And the best part is each way you say fuck, everyone will know exactly how it means.
Yeah. Like if you said, dude, fuck this fucking fucker, completely fuck my fucking shit. Right? That's a full sentence.
Yeah,
That whole thing is there.
Each fuck, you know exactly what the word is.
That was a complete sentence right there. You just told a whole story with one word.
Everyone forget it. Everyone forget it. One word.
Yeah.
Shit.
So fucked up. That's
So
some versatile shit, man. That's how the woman should have written Twilight. She should have been like just like I saw this dude and I was like fuck. But then there was other dude and I was like fuck. And then this dude moved to the trees so fast and I was just like fuck you, motherfucker.
And this dude, he walked up to me and said, I'm a motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know what I
but
mean?
he's a vampire and I'm a human, so she can't fuck me. And this whole book is about like our fuck anxiety.
Shit, man. So yeah,
That was some shit.
yeah, and if any one of you guys like to come up and learn how to fight, you can come to Brawl Mixed Martial Arts. We train out of my house.
We'll put a note in the video description to the Facebook page.
Thanks.
To you guys, and you on your number as well.
Yeah, it's
No, I'll put it in the episode notes. No one's gonna remember if you said that.
But you just come. First class is free, and then you train. We train 3 times a week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Tuesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. to 9 in the evening, and then on Saturdays 11 a.m. to about 2 p.m. Don't worry about it being a strict gym where everything is like, and you gotta be all sweet. No, we're a family. When we train hard, and we train to help each other, but we do train quite hard. So get prepared to be hurt, but it's not like we're gonna beat you up on the first class. We don't do that. We don't roll like that. But you can come and you can learn, and you can come and try it for yourself, and you will enjoy it. I'm pretty sure you will if you're into fighting.
And I mean, I'll be real with you guys. Like, when I was a kid, like, I always wanted to do martial arts, right? Every boy wants to be like a karate fighter, right? That's like a thing, right? And I think most girls want to be a karate fighter as well, right? And it's like, but I was like totally discouraged from martial arts because I went to so many martial arts classes and it was such a bullshit. Like, you gotta learn how to pronounce these different things in Japanese and shit, and you gotta stand a certain way, you gotta bow and shit like that. And like, going to your class was like the real thing where it's like, it made me see martial arts in a different kind of way. You know what I mean? It's like it's just, no bullshit, just like everyone's cool, and it's no bullshit, everyone's just learning, and everyone's just like fighting, right? And it's not, like no one's fucking around, right? Like we're being serious, we're training hard, like we're getting the shit done, but, no one's being like a dick, and no one's like being like on a pedestal, no one's being like, yes sir, no sir. It's real chilled out.
Otherwise, it's all about having fun end of the day. And we when we are training, we really focus, but after that, we crack jokes with each other and everything. And I'm not the guy who's like, oh, I'm like the whole sensei, but about. I'm not that guy. I mean, what I always tell everyone, leave your ego at the door, come here to train. Even if I get beat up or I get submitted, it doesn't really matter. Learn. Even if you come and you get beat up or submitted, learn the fact that you're doing something. You're learning how to fight, right? But it has to also be in an environment that you want to come back to. So that's what I'm trying to do. So just drop in if you like to try it out. Hey girls, you as well. You want to learn how to kick some ass? Just give me a holler. But don't get a wife. Anyway.
Right on. All right. Peace. I think we're good.